All right, Kamuji, give me a countdown.
Okay. Datida, 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 datida.
Wow. That's a vintage tihai.
Vintage.
Vintage.
Classic.
My Staji used to play that when he was like a teenager.
I think
Probably like 13 or whatever, like with Glomley. Like,
I was taught that when I was a teenager.
yeah, it's like vintage classic. Well done.
Thank you.
Welcome to another episode of Absolute Focus.
Hello.
Thanks everybody for coming out to our Norton Simon gig in Pasadena.
Man,
We
that
had
was
a blast
a good
of a
gig.
time.
I love playing there.
Yeah, it's like a great place to play. We have Kamalji is going to be playing with Ustad Tariq Khan at the Festival of Tabla. You guys should check that out on August 4th. Ustad Ji will be closing the festival.
A 2-day tabla festival.
Yeah, it's a
which
2-day
is just
Tabla festival.
unheard
You guys should definitely check it out. It's if you use the promo code Absolute Focus, you get a 20% discount.
That's pretty good.
That's
a good
baller.
deal.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So yeah, like
Jaswinder's very tired today again.
Yeah,
He had a
yeah.
late night. I think he's on the Benadryl again, so
I took
he might be a
Benadryl
bit
at 2
groggy
a.m.
today.
too. I'm pretty groggy.
But what happens now is you have to introduce the guest.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay.
I forgot what we were supposed to do.
It's all good. I'm here. That's why I'm here.
Thank you. Yeah, so today we have a really special guest. He's a cousin of Kamaljit's, but in
Not
the typical
really.
Desi way, not really. And so if
That's how
bust
I
out
got
your
here.
calculators, get out like whiteboard out. We're gonna like try to figure out this family tree.
Are we actually going to do it?
No.
But
Oh, it's easy.
besides that, he's Kamaljit's cousin or non-cousin, but really cousin.
Tada pajia.
He's a tremendous musician and like producer. He's
Super
a
talented,
percussionist. He's a
man.
dole player, and he makes electronic music. I don't even know how to classify music. It's just good music.
Good music.
Yeah,
Full
and he's got 2 aliases. One is Apostro. One is Helioflex.
Flux.
Helioflex, yeah.
And we're really happy to have Aman Bansil.
Yay!
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invite.
No, thanks for coming, man.
Wink, wink. Cousin.
Yeah. So how are you guys related?
So my dad has a cousin,
Okay, your dad has a cousin.
and then he got married and had Aman.
All right. Carry
I did ask about this last week to my dad because I knew you were going to ask me this, and I got the same story, so I can concur. This is
Concur,
this
yes.
is-
We
this
know
is-
family
yes.
history.
And then at the end, it got so confusing. I said, "Never mind. I'm just gonna."
All right. Well, that's not bad at all.
No, it's not.
You're
My
what is
dad-
that? Second cousin.
My dad has a cousin, he had Aman.
Yeah. So in English, I think that's cousins.
Is it second cousin?
Second
cousin.
cousins, and in
Yeah.
Punjabi, that's brother and sister.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tusi pen pra.
Yeah.
Hanji,
Yeah.
for sure.
All right.
I went to my brother's wedding without even knowing him.
Dude, you know what happened at our wedding? Let me tell you this, okay?
Family trees, man.
When
He loves
When
this.
Kamaljit and I get married, like
I have a
she's-
big family on my nanny side,
she-
right?
She walks around and she goes, "This is my nanny, and this nanny this is just Vinder." And then like I do matate pari perna, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm a good boy. And
I get those
And-
points, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I give her a hug, and I'm like, "This is Kamaljit's grandmother. That's great, right?" Then like we walk to like the next table or whatever, and she's introducing me. This is so and so. This is so and so, and she's like, "This is my nanny," and I was like, What about?"
but the other
Oh,
woman.
and then I do the patty parna, like I do the matatik, and then like hug her, and then we keep moving.
I've got at least 5 nanya.
Yeah, and then she's like, "This is my nanny." I was like, "You can't have 5 nannies."
Wait, what?
Yeah,
My
and-
nanny is sisters, so we
so
call
she's
them
calling
nanny.
like her nanny's sister's nanny, and I'm like, "Yeah, but what's the real one?"
You met her first.
Yeah, okay.
There's like a nanny hierarchy. There's like
Yeah,
a top
there
nanny
is.
and then like the subsequent nannies.
She's
you know?
actually the oldest,
Yeah.
so yeah, there is a hierarchy.
So nanny for our non-Punjabi listeners are
My mother's-
maternal grandmothers,
Yeah.
but Kamaljit has 5.
You know what? I don't even like know the name of my nanny G's because we were just introduced as this is your nanny G,
yeah.
this is your masi, this is your taya. And I'm like, I don't know your names and I don't see you very often. So hey, nanny,
That
nana.
is true in Indian culture. Like they'll just say this is uncle or this is nanny or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you have to make an effort to go find out what their name is. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll realize that when you grow up, you're like, oh shit, I don't know their name. You know?
Also, then they go, this is that person's son, this is their son, this is their son, and this is their daughter. I'm like, which one belongs to which? They're all in one big group. I don't know. It's too confusing.
It was really confusing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to, man?
You know, music, work, life, all the above.
So yeah, why don't you tell us like how you got started in this music?
Well,
Tell us about Little Aman.
okay.
Do you want to pull
So-
that bit? Is that okay? I don't know the
Oh,
distance.
You
sorry.
can pull it back to you.
I can so I can
Relax.
start from like the origin story from the very beginning, or
Yeah.
I can go with
Where'd you get
just
your
the
superpowers
electronic
at?
music. Okay, well, superpower. I think it might be a bit of a sad start because it's a story of where I had a lot of desire to do something, but I couldn't get it to work, and then later on in life it functioned, right? So from you guys, for example, I think you guys probably you guys were born probably playing at the high or something.
Nah, not
No,
really.
no.
Or like,
man.
this is a tabla, you got like a 1-year-old kid.
No, man.
You know,
My family is non-musical.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So I can relate there. In my case, so
Immediate family.
yeah, well, I was born in Germany. There was nothing musical there for me in terms of getting me sort of ready for that kind of lifestyle. When I moved to India, I got introduced to like harmonium and like little Casio baja and those kind of things, And so I started kind of just kind of playing around with them as a kid, just to kind of just kind of playing around some keys to figure out, just to kind of figure out what the keys were and all that kind of stuff. But there's no direction. Nobody like taught me anything. I tried to get a lesson I remember one time I had my mom take me to a gurdwara where there was a gyani who had like a Sunday class, right? And then he would teach 10, 20 students like this whole. They had a little tiny Casio players, right? And they would play all the rags and all that. So I had my mom take me there. I think I was probably 8 or something like that. So we went, and for some reason we couldn't make a connection. Like either I don't know if they didn't like me or mom just didn't have the time. I don't know what happened, but I just could never get there. And at that point in time was one of those things. If I had gotten lessons there, my life would have been totally different because I would have started in that direction a bit earlier, right? And so that was, but something in me told me that I needed to go seek it out, right? I don't know what it is, but I just needed to do that. The only thing I found from music standpoint was 2 friends of mine, Tajinder and Sandeep from India. So they would have this small budget. Everybody had these small budgets for some reason. Like they weren't musicians, so to speak. They were just normal people with tiny budgets here and there, and they would always be playing the same tune, which was Nagina. Do you know what that is? So they would always be playing the same tune. And I was like, great, can you teach me that? Because finally I had somebody playing some piece of music, which was like a concise piece of music. It wasn't just me hitting on things, right? And so that, it took me some years to figure out, because I was a kid, okay? So figure out a way to sort of get to them, have them teach me, and then when they did, I finally learned it. And then, this is where it's a bit sad, because from that age of like about 10 to the age of when I finally got, say, my first music lesson, no other progress in music lessons was made. The only thing that kept the thread that kept this whole thing in my heart and mind was that tune that they taught me, right? So I would play that tune every single piano, vaja, I don't care what it is. If it has keys, I would play that tune. And I knew it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what rag it is or anything. I would just play that back and forward. And yeah, if I saw a vaja, I would start playing that. And so it was just my way of just kind of keeping this thing alive in me, and while I was working on school and all that kind of stuff. And that's the whole childhood, literally, in terms of music, right? Which is, I think, a bit sad in the sense that I could have done more if I had the opportunity, but I just didn't. And so what happened...
Were you listening to music and stuff, or going to see...
Oh, heck yeah. T-Series, the cassette.
Oh, dude,
all day long.
T-Series.
Oh,
What were your
I
favorites?
had this cool retro looking thing. I would just I was the kid. There was nobody in line back then. I'll be the first guy. The new cassette comes out. I'm there to buy it for like 10 rupees or whatever the heck it was. I would play that over and over. I was into music for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's going to come out later in the story.
What was your to-go music at that time?
It was all
apart from
Bollywood
everything.
Music. It was nothing classical. Nothing. I was not introduced to classical back
That's
then.
fine.
And nothing percussion either. It was just Bollywood music, just regular, Hindi music that you'd hear. But I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this? The 80s, 90s? Late
This would be
80s?
the 80s.
The 80s had some good tunes.
Late
man.
Yeah, 80s was good.
That was
sorry,
musical.
yeah, late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
It was actually melody then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty cool. And the other passion of mine as a kid was comic books. I mean, I had a huge collection, and when I read a comic book, there was like a world in my head, and I would just shut the door and get my, barfi and samosa and all that kind of stuff. I would just eat it and then just go and read the whole series of comic books. So my imagination was pretty, I would say it was being cultivated through these kind of things. Where there was the stuff that you do as an Indian kid that you have to do, which is go to school, get A's and B's.
B's? What?
Sorry, A's.
Dude.
I know.
I had Tourette's there. It was all A's, yes. And do that. And then while you're doing that, if you had time here and there, you could do one or two things, but that was the main focus, right? And so interestingly enough, when I moved to the U.S. when I was about 12, those other guys who taught me the Nagina came here too. At about the same time. And we're like, oh yeah, let's we're again playing the same tune, right? Because we don't know anything else. That's what we're doing. And it's really, that's what's sad.
That's pretty hysterical, because it's one tune that's sustaining your inner desire.
I can't tell you why. And it's as if
It's like you never got bored of it.
never got bored of it. I still play it.
Did you improvise in it?
Oh my god!
Did
I
you
did
find
not improvise. I did make sure that the transitions between the keys were very nice, and over like 10 years of practice, and so it was great. But then, definitely, I did not improvise. I kept that lesson and I kept practicing it, and that's all I knew, right?
So that's interesting. So I mean, you say that you didn't have the classical training at this point yet, but Kamaljeet and I live far from our teachers, and when we saw them, it was long periods of time could pass.
Yes.
And the material that they gave you, it's not like a lesson that you're just like, oh, I practiced it and I got it.
Yeah.
Like when you keep doing the same thing over and over and again, you're gonna find it's
New
gonna
things.
speak to you. Like things will be awoken in you
Yeah.
through that one
little
lesson,
thing,
right?
yeah.
And sometimes to this day, you'll find something in a lesson that you had 10 years ago that you never noticed before.
Yeah.
And it's like that discipline. So this is your classical training. This is your discipline.
I mean, if you put it that way, there is a lesson there that I learned, which was doing something over and over and over and over again without getting bored and without quitting.
yeah.
So it's I don't know how to explain what that is, but
Yeah.
and I'll explain a bit more on the Dole side how that plays in. Just playing one thing without changing it. I know it would have been nice if I changed it and I kind of explored more and all,
Right.
but without changing it, just keeping to that thing, and just enjoying what it is. For me, that was I don't know how to explain it, but it was like the one thing that I loved doing on a piano. It was just that was it. But anywho, moving on to when I was in America. And going through the whole thing, getting Sega Genesis and all that, and doing the whole kid thing.
Oh yeah.
I was at 12, and I think what happened around the age of 18, 20 was when I finally said, I need to get lessons. I'm gonna.
Oh.
So by the way, where are you?
right at that time, I'm in Fremont.
Okay.
Yeah.
What brought you there?
Born in Germany, went to India for about 7-8 years, and then came to America. We went to New York first, at 12. And then at about 13, I went to California, different places in California. And I guess what brought us here was better opportunity. And my
Right.
dad just didn't. My dad's been working. He had been working as a cab driver for like 20 years, 15 years or something like that in New York. And
Wow.
so he just got tired of it. He used to get robbed all the time.
Oh man.
It was so usual that he would have a register that would say how much money he's made for the day, and he'd have a money ready to go. And so if some guy comes in and says, all right, you know what this is, and like, all right, here's my receipts, here's my money, and then you just sit there, and then they count it. They say, okay, thank you very much, and they go. And the people who tried to fight that would get shot. You know,
Right. So he was very safe about it.
yeah, he had to be right. So that's what brought us to California, just to get away from that life and just start something different.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Fremont is for those who don't know, it's I don't know, maybe at that time it wasn't, but now it's like a second Punjab kind of.
Yeah, I mean now it is. For sure.
So maybe there was also like a sense of community there.
Back then, probably not.
No? Oh, okay.
No. It was.
So your dad started that community.
Well, it could be, yeah.
Because now it's like it's Punjab.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Everyone knows somebody in Fremont.
Oh yeah.
So now you're like 18, 20 and you start going for some.
Well, 1820, I start sort of getting more aware of the fact that I need lessons, right? I cannot progress. I'm at an impasse at this point. I have this desire that keeps growing, and I need to somehow figure out a way to go learn something, right? And so the first thing I think I did was like, in my head, it's always like, let me try what else I can do. So I think that's when I started getting into like electronic stuff and saying, let me install this thing. And there was a thing called Rebirth, which I don't know if some of your viewers may remember it. It was a really weird thing, which it was like just knobs and little things that it was a synthesizer type thing, that you can kind of play around with. And I would just kind of like just sit there for hours just tweaking the knobs and kind of hearing the sounds and all that kind of stuff. And then I got,
cool.
Yeah, just to kind of like hear what this is and how things change over time when you modify different controls.
Right.
So I just started getting into that without any instructions again. Around, I would say, my 20 or 21, that's when really I said, okay, Dad, I need your help to get me lessons. Sorry, not then. At 20 to 21, what happened was I started, so I had I've been listening to Punjabi music, noticing all the different, percussions in there or the, whatever instruments are being played. And I don't think I had identified dole as my main instrument until I saw a dole player play dole in San Jose State. So I went to San Jose State as one of my university I went to. I think his name was Rob. I'm not sure. But there was like a whole Punjabi dance thing where there was a dance happening and he was playing dole on the left-hand side. And I don't even know what the hell was going on in the dance. I was just looking at the dole the whole time, right?
You never saw anything like that before in there?
I had never
wait,
seen
you're
that.
in Fremont and there was not many Mar people.
Nothing.
Makes sense.
In India, I was a kid doing my kid thing, reading comic books. Never saw a dole ever. Never seen one.
Yeah.
Maybe once, maybe something. I don't even remember it. But not in a context that I would see that as something that I could like use. I could learn from. And when I saw that, the fact that he wasn't mic'd, this guy far away from me, this entire hall is like this thundering sound, right? Coming from this one guy with two sticks and a drum. It just blew my mind. And as soon as I came out of that performance, I was like, I need a tool. And that was just like, that was the loop I was stuck in. And then my dad finally is like, fine. He figures out some guy who's coming from India. It's like, hey, can you buy this guy a tool? By the way, a year is passing while I'm requesting this tool.
Yeah.
This tool is coming to me. And then another half a year later, I get the tool, right? From somebody from India brings the tool. And by the way, if somebody doesn't know what a dole is a large percussion instrument from northern India.
Yeah.
Originally coming from Africa, you put it around your neck, has a bass side and a treble side, and you play it with sticks.
I
didn't know
was-
it was originally
yeah.
from Africa.
Everything you are from Africa. Okay.
Yeah,
No, we are all
okay,
from
okay.
Africa.
Everything's from Africa.
That's true.
All right. And in Africa, they actually, they did the same thing. They would take a trunk of a tree, hollow it out, put a skin on the top, and you'd get the African drum.
No.
Yeah. I don't know if they call it dole. They call it something else, right?
Well, I know that's kind of like a djembe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a bigger version of that, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Doles are big.
They're
Yeah.
giant.
I think their version is less tuned. Like if I remember it, I saw it on YouTube one time. It was just kind of like a boom, 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 kind of a note thing.
Yeah.
But so the dole that arrived from India had like 7, 8 cracks.
Oh God.
Okay.
Okay.
Huge cracks, little cracks, just openings, little see-through openings or whatever. But man, I loved that thing, and I was like, "This is the best thing has ever happened to me." And I took that and I started just trying to play it. This is where I hadn't gotten lessons yet, right? And so again, I'm just on my own trying to play this thing. I'm just trying to see if I can match whatever that guy was doing. And of course, you're gonna try to mimic, and there's no YouTube back then, so you're just sort of figuring things out. I didn't know anybody. I had 0 friends who did music. I knew nobody that did anything in music.
You couldn't find that guy.
No, no one, right? And so I think about a half a year with that, I said, "You got to help me, Dad. Is there a music teacher or somebody that can teach me this thing?" He's like, "Yeah, there's a guy named Patti or something." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Can I go to this person?" And lo and behold, that was Ustad Lasting Pattiji that he was trying to introduce me to.
Yeah.
And I remember like it was like a mela or something, and the Ustadji stand there, and I'm just like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be awesome," and like I'm actually gonna get a teacher. And so he introduces. He's like, my dad. He doesn't even think much of it. Like he doesn't. I don't think he realizes how huge this is for me.
Yeah.
In my head, it's like in my head, it's like 15 years I've been waiting for this person to teach me, right? And so we speak, and then Ustadji's like, yeah, come by, don't worry about it, we'll teach you everything. I'm like, okay, really, this is actually happening? So I'm like,
Yeah. So were you aware at this point of who he was, or
No, I
you
had
just
no
know
idea.
as some guy?
no, some guy who knew dole. That's
Yeah.
all I knew.
But we know now that he's like a legendary dole player.
Yeah, I had no idea.
And by the way, let me just take a pause for a second. All right, for you classical guys that are listening out here,
Yeah.
okay?
he's sitting straight. Oh my God, I have to listen to this too.
Sometimes they'll look at the dole as like, oh, that's just Punjabi folk.
folk.
What is that? Like that's the thing you play at weddings before the
Yeah.
groom comes in or whatever.
Yeah.
Listen, the dole is a percussion instrument, and if you have a player, I've heard classical dole solos in Vilamba Tintal. I've heard a dole solo in 7.5 beats. I've heard like crazy peshkar, lakari, like and crazy teke. Like it's a full classical instrument. All right. So sometimes our people get a little snobby. So I just want to set them straight a little bit. All right, continue.
And actually, to that point, Ustadji did, when we would talk about things, right? Just other than lessons, one of the things that kind of stuck with me was he's like, do you notice how a dole can't be played in a gurdwara, but a tabla can be? And I was like, wow, that just that sentence just blew my mind. Like, why is that? Just like you, I was thinking, what is it about this instrument versus this instrument that allows us to be inside a gurdwara, and you can't have this? You can't have a nagara, you can have like a tabla inside the gurdwara, but you cannot have a dole. It can be outside, but not inside.
It's just bad reasoning, right? Like
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
think so.
stereotypes.
I don't know what it is, but
If you play a Vilamba Tinta, like, and you're just like, I've seen dole players. They use so I don't know your position, but like they'll use this part of their wrist
Yep.
to like do gummick and stuff while they're holding the stick, and then like the stick is not playing; it's their
Right.
wrist that's like pushing
Right.
into it.
Right.
And then like so,
That's
right? We've heard
biowork.
that it's like da din da di. Like they'll do that.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, they'll do go da da da, right? They'll do stuff.
Yeah.
And like lakari stuff. So I don't know. That's just the story. I think it's just in people's mind because they see it in other environments.
Yeah.
That like, oh, that's just for dancing.
Yeah.
That's just for folk. That's a lame like an everyday instrument. It's not real. But
It's kind of like what happened to the santur, right?
Yeah.
That was that classed as that type of instrument.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
kidding. Santur wasn't.
It was a
It
folk
was a
instrument.
folk instrument which accompanied Sufiana music, so it was just accompanying
Yeah.
in the background while the
Her,
singer was singing.
Wow.
her Guruji Shiv Kumar Sharma is the one that
Brought into the
brought it
classical
and said like,
fought
this
everyone and said,
conducive.
no, this can do everything you want it to be. I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So
So
this-
there are I mean, there are dole players that I'm aware of that are in the classical scene, but they haven't broken through at that level
Yeah.
of fame, right? Or acceptance.
Yeah.
That's the word.
yeah.
And I'm not sure if they are driven to go towards
Yeah.
the classical side, right? Even though that's a legitimate side, there's a folk that's a legitimate
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
So
They're all related.
They're all, yeah.
dole players are generally driven towards the folk and the pop side, right? The classical side is there. There are some people that play like Jolly Baba is one that if you type that in on YouTube, you'll see some of his stuff, which is like amazing. It's really cool. He does stuff that's very, very, very good in that you would like. It's very.
No, I mean I like it all, man.
Yeah,
I can recognize.
thousand there.
No, like if somebody's playing like it could be like dance garwa, but if they're playing with like la and
Yeah.
whatever, that's classical. Like
Yeah.
if it's your skill level. It's not genres. Like good music is good music and
Yeah.
bad music is bad music.
For sure.
Like there's no superiority in like classical.
Yeah, yeah.
We hear that all the time. Like like the lighter and
Yeah,
is more difficult. Like,
it really is.
and it's like the middle tier of classical musicians that get a bit snobby, but you'll never hear the legends do that. Like
I've
they'll be-
never heard any of the legends say anything bad
So
about classical.
I'll tell you.
folk music.
I'll tell you an example.
Light
Like
classical music.
the film brother guys. What are they? Jatin Lalit.
Jatin Lalit.
We had dinner with.
Not me.
Yeah, I had dinner with
The royal we.
I think it's Jatin. Yeah,
One of them.
I think it was Jatin.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're brothers,
I
and I
barely
don't know
know
which
what
one
they
I meant. Anyways, he was a judge or like the sitting judge on what was it, the Saregama?
Saregama.
Yeah, on Saregama, which is like a
Talent
Indian
show.
version of like
The Voice or something.
The Voice or America's Got Talent or whatever. And I think Shivji, her Guruji Shivji and Hariji were
Jujitsu.
like guest judges.
Okay.
Right, so they were there as guest judges, and he said that all of us film composers who were like the fixed judges, we were like upping classical. We were like, classical's like so difficult, and classical's this, and classical's that, and blah blah blah. And then he said like that we cut to like a commercial break,
They got shut
and he
down.
said like Hariji and Shivji like turned to him and said like, you don't need to say that. He said we know that like light music is way more difficult because you have to. It is. Light music is classical. It's like, but instead of over the course of an hour, you have to like convey like whatever it is, the rag or whatever.
Yeah, you've got to fill all the emotions from 1 hour into 3 concise minutes of
into 3
awesomeness.
concise. Yeah, and that you don't have time to
To
like
fill flan.
Yeah, just to blah 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 or something.
You don't have
Right.
time.
It has to be the most like concentrated, beautiful
Perfect.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in 3 minutes that
That's
they
an
can do.
interesting
Yeah.
interpretation.
So I mean, it's different. I mean, I know this from from you, like when you need to prepare like a
Oh man, I sweat so much and like get all like fear is a great motivator, and I get really scared when I have to do like light classical, just because we haven't practiced it as much as I've done pure classical, and I don't know the avenues you're supposed to go, and there's such too much scope in light classical. It's like, how do I go down this avenue? How do I do that? Or how do I exit from here? How do I enter from here? But this is, I've got to make him cry with this phrase, but then how do I make it happy with this phrase at the same time?
Yeah,
Because that's what good Bollywood or good light does. It just takes you on a range of emotions really concisely.
See, I think you guys think about the rhythm and all that, very deeply. That's the difference, I think, between like you guys, your teaching and the way you study things are very different than what a dole player does, right? A dole player is always focused on the audience, right? If it doesn't make sense, for example, in a song or at the dance floor or somewhere like that, right? So the dole player, a folk dole player may not think about those items, right? But then to do like jugalbandi or to showcase something that their skill or play in front of other musicians, they may do some of the classical stuff that they know of, right?
Right.
But then majority of the dole players are going to be going towards the more of the popular kind of areas, right? So it's going to be like Yarva heavy, like
Right.
Bhangra and all that kind of stuff. And and so there is a difference for sure. And yeah, but it's not a better and
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean. It's just different,
Yeah.
venues.
Let's take a little bit of a break here and let's listen to some of Aman's music. This is going to be a track from your alias Apostro called Closer, and then afterwards we can
Okay.
break it down.
Break it down.
And we're back. That was Closer by Apostro. I really like that track.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My daughter's your biggest fan, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I love that. And by the way, just for the record, thank you so much for being so supportive. You guys are awesome. and the fact that your daughter loves it, that made me so happy. I showed it to Harmon. I'm like, look at this.
Every time we show her a new track, we're like, "Oh, it's got a new track," and she's like,
You guys are so cool.
and then she starts dancing to it. And she's like, "Yeah, I like that, Mama. Can we play it again?"
Yeah, we have to put it on repeat,
are
and then it's really good. So let's go back to where we were. You were about to tell us sort of how
Your journey with the Stargy.
Yeah, how we got to Closer, for example, right?
Yeah.
How do we get to this kind of a music? Well, so Ustad Lasim Patiji, he treated me with kid gloves in the sense that he knew that I knew nothing, right? And there was no teachings in me to unteach. It was just stuff that I had to just sat around and hit on the drum, just figured out something, and he knew that he needed to take me from ground zero.
Yeah.
So now, what is ground zero for a person like me who hasn't had lesson? Well, I didn't even know that there were cycles, that that these things are played in cycles, right? That you repeat the cycles, and then you have things that join them, like Torda, or we call them Torda.
Yeah,
or,
so do we.
Okay, Tirkis or whatever. And then how do you go to the next one, right? That there is there's
Sometimes we'll just say lead.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's measures and there's different kind of timings, right? All these things. I don't know any of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, for him to take somebody from that point of view and bring him up to a level which is here's what it is. It took a while, right? And so the way he would teach me would be Daga hits on the hit on the bass side. We'll call it a D as in Daga, right? On the Tili side, we called it a T as in toy, T as in toy. And then what's it together? DT. I'm like, okay. So I'm just, I don't know anything at this point. I'm like, great. So first thing you'll learn. So DT together is dha. Okay,
Yeah.
got it, dha. And then T on the treble side is na. Then you're gonna play da na 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 da da na. Okay. And he didn't even worry about the dynamics at this point. He just get the rhythm.
Get the
right.
basics, yeah.
Just get the rhythm. And so I'm like, okay, so how do you want to practice it? It's look at the clock, look at every second, play a thing, right? And I said, okay. I'm like, and at this point, my mind's going this is too slow. Can you teach me the more? I'm being the newbie, right?
Impatient.
And he's always saying, nope, learn this right now. Go home and learn this. And I said, okay.
You gotta get those fundamentals.
And that's when, so I had, so he would tell me, go get a metronome, go sit down, go just, don't deviate, just play this, right? Don't go play whatever the heck you think you're going to play. And of course, you being new, you're just okay, my teacher told me this and I'm going to play that. But then all of a sudden okay, that's good enough now. 20 minutes later, I'm playing my own thing and trying to just do whatever. But I would always tell myself, nope, go back to the lesson because that's, I had faith in the teacher, right?
Right.
And so because of the way he spoke, I hadn't even seen him play. Just the way he spoke. So I had no idea who he was at first, right? So the way he spoke, the way he explained things, I knew that I had to listen to him, that this was my chance to learn it. And if I screwed up here, I don't know where I would be in terms of learning something, right? And then we had a couple of lessons, and then he would say, okay, make sure you go try them, and here's how you practice. And he taught me how to practice. And so I'd go home, and this is the tempo I'd be doing this at. I'd be like, da, na, 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 da, da, na, right? And I would repeat that for hours. And there is, I can't tell you, I was not bored. I wasn't, the state I was in was like fully engaged, right? Like I was listening to every hit and making sure that na was hitting right, make sure that k was hitting right. And at first it was very difficult because I couldn't recognize the sounds, right? But then eventually the right sound made sense to me. I didn't have to look and see if I hit it right. The right sound was there, right? I was like, oh, I hit it right. I hit it wrong, right? And then even though your body tells you speed it up, but then nope, go back right into where you're at. So make that super crisp, right? And so I kept doing that, right? And that's, I think, that is the lesson that I carry over to even today, which is go back and make sure you got that basic down, and make sure it's repeatable and you can rest on it. So meaning now when I play Gerwa, I can rest on Gerwa for like hours. I've done that in gigs all the time where we're playing, playing with another dole player, and he's doing crazy things, whatever, and then I'm just like, I need like 10 minutes. So I'm like, I'm just like sitting there. I'm just, on camera.
Yeah.
I'm not getting tired. I'm just, your body gets used to it. I don't know.
You get conditioned.
Yeah.
That's what practice is about, to build your muscle and build your ear and to build your discipline.
Yeah. And Ustaji used to tell me something. He's like, so right now you need the metronome. At some point, this will be in your head. I'm like, no way. I'm like, this thing is a machine. It keeps going like this. And if I'm talking and if I'm playing something, this is going to keep going. And I'm like, no way this is going to be in my head at some point. But lo and behold, it gets in your head.
Yeah,
it never leaves. It's like, you're always looking at it. And I started seeing patterns like the left indicator was a metronome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sometimes, I'm not kidding. This is not a lie. One time, a left indicator and a indicator on the
Car in front of you?
car in front of me, and a light on an airplane, they all synced.
I love when that
I was
happens.
like, oh my God.
I love it when your mind
I
gets
was
blown
like,
like
Harmon. She's like, shut up.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, they don't get it.
Non-musicians,
They don't get it.
dude. Like
That's happened
we've
so
had
many
like,
times.
like fans that are like, how the fans sometimes
Yeah.
wobble.
Yeah.
But they're
It's
going
in
like,
lag out of you.
Yeah.
and then like, or there's like we find like
All
rhythm
the
in the
time,
craziest
man.
of places.
So
Are you
fun.
even a percussionist if you haven't done jugalbandi with your left signal? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to.
Yeah,
And you're kind of
wipers.
almost sad once you
Wipers,
turn
yeah.
and you have to turn
Turn
off
it
the
off.
vibe.
Yeah.
So that was,
That's really cool that he's actually telling you to practice with metronome, because not everyone does that at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, he just, his viewpoint was go learn the basics, or here are the basics, learn these basics. And he would always say, learn slow to go fast, right? And that was really hard to take in as a newbie, because you want to learn fast. You want to get there, right?
Yeah.
But faith in your teacher helps you stay there, right?
It's amazing that you had that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what else to do, because imagine if this person who's obviously a master, right, tells you something, and you're the kind of person who listens, right, and you don't want to go back and say I didn't listen to you, right? And so no matter what I was doing, I knew that I had to go sit there and practice what he told me. So that's how we started progressing in terms of getting my conditioning up to speed for rhythm and all that kind of stuff, right? So there, now towards the end of my lessons with him, so there was some period where I had formal lessons with him.
Right.
Towards the end of that period, I had been performing at different parties or whatnot, weddings and things like that, DJs and all that. And so, and with him in different melas and all that kind of stuff, festivals. And so I had also started chatting with some people online on dolis.net. It's gone now, but dolis.net was freaking amazing. If anybody from dolis.net is listening, hit me up. Aman Bansil on Instagram. But there were these many people that helped me out, and then two people specifically One was Dave Sharma from New York. He's like a white guy who's like a drummer and a double player and a totally. He's great. And Amarjeet Sonic from Singapore. So they were all tabla players. So here I have Ustad Lasim Patiji who's teaching me dole and very basics of dole and folk, right? So he's not going into like, all that kind of stuff. He's not doing any of that stuff. He's just doing basic of dole. And so that's like, imagine if someone's laying down a cement foundation, right? I've got it in my head now that I can have a rhythm playing and I can think on top of it and do other things. While my hands are playing one thing, I am like ahead of it and thinking of what to do next. And I don't have to think in bowls anymore. I can think of in phrases and things like that, right? So I can connect things a lot faster in my head. So I'm at this point now, right?
What do you mean by phrases?
Well, you start dole with just having each sound being a bowl, right?
Oh, okay.
And then you make words out of it, like,
right.
and then you make phrases
and
like
then sentences,
for example, da 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 is like one little phrase, right? And then this is one other thing that Osaji taught me, which is really awesome, is to connect a sound with a word. That to you guys is probably very natural.
Yeah, so when I hear tabla, I hear the words.
That's what I mean. I didn't hear the words, but when I started, I would just hear like sounds. And that's really difficult to sort of pick up. So let's say if you're a dole player, I'm a dole player, you play something, I have to ask you, what did you hit? What are you playing? But once I was learning the actual bowls, right, and then practicing that over time, I got to a point where a dole player can play something very seemingly complex sounding, but I could pick it up instantly because. And a lot of people couldn't do that because they didn't associate sounds with actual words and phrases. So there were times like I think one time in Canada there was like a party and there was some dole player, they were playing like and then second later I'm like, oh, let me play that, and so boom, and they're like, how'd you do that? And then they would play like in any rhythm that I'm aware of, like let's say you take Gerva, and you introduce a new gehe, I don't know, put a dha sound somewhere in there, right? And so I can actually pick that up quickly because I've already practiced Gerva for like hours and hours and hours, and you just added one little thing, or you added a trikr at the end, or you added a tapa in the middle. I can just do that too. It may not be the exact same, but I'll get the feeling and the sound across, right? And that was really cool to be able to like hear words. It's really odd thing to say, but like I guess you would understand.
I mean, I think that's the inherent nature of tabla. So I mean, it just reinforces the point that like dole is right, like a legitimate. It's got a language. It's got a
And So as I'm learning, as I got the foundation down from Ustad Lasim Patiji, and I meet these people on dolis.net, and especially Dave Sharma and Amarjeet Sonic, and they were like, all right, well, here's a tehai, here's a chakradhari. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, what are you guys talking about? And so like I know tordas at this point, and I know normal rhythms, right? And like, well, okay, so here, play this, da 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 da. I'm like, okay. So I start playing that on the dole, right? Like da 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 da, right? And it's like, I said, okay, well, what should I do here? So they were like my they were friends, right? But they were like almost like they taught me this stuff, right? And I would just be reading that stuff, and then I think the difference between me and somebody else would have been I read it, I write it down, and I actually go and practice it, right? And they were like, all right, well, and I would break it down. So if they type in some crazy long Dehai thing, right? I'm gonna go break it down and say, okay, well, because I had a very analytical mind, so I'm like, well, this phrase repeats here, so I'm gonna call this A. This is other phrases B, A plus B, A plus B, A, C, and then repeat the whole thing 3 times, right? So I would do that.
I do that too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And so I found my shorthands.
Yeah, that's how I write it.
Okay. And then when I found that, I'm like, oh, okay. So I just need to make sure I practice the phrases that can rearrange them at will.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And then I started finding out that, and this is something that Saji taught me, by saying it rather than teaching it. He was like, instead of saying like ta na 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 da da na, he would say like something that he is something like a phonetic way of saying kerva, right?
Right.
Every rhythm he had a phonetic way of saying it. So this is not something that I was taught by actually like a lesson, but I went back and said I need to be able to say my rhythms, because if I can't say them, because you can't say da da na 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 da da na, right? You can't say
Yeah.
that, but you can say din da na ka na ka dina,
Yeah.
right? It's more phonetic. I said if I can,
And then it gets the expression across.
Yeah.
that's right. And so I said if I can say this, that might be like a really nice way of for me to just kind of imagine these rhythms a bit more and say them, when I'm like, say I don't have a tool with me. And so I started practicing that, and that's what really started catapulting how I was able to practice, because no longer was I just like I had to be in front of a tool to practice. I could be anywhere practicing, and I did that. And I used to have in my college years, I used to have a job in security. I would drive around a truck like 5 miles per hour, and I have a tili in my hand. I would have a daga that was the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And I would go da, right, and this was a na. So it was like da da to get the right here, right? And I would play that for hours, because 8-hour shift.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do?
wow.
So I would practice dole, and so this is the really crazy part. This blew my mind. I could practice something in there without a tili, without anything, just by saying it, and then when I first tried it on the dole, I would play it.
Yeah.
That's
mental.
really weird.
No, but mental always comes first. Like
Yeah.
if you got it mentally, then you're like set. Once you've put in the time that you already put in of getting your hands ready,
Yeah.
then once you just know the language, then it's gonna come.
Yeah.
And then the phonetic thing, like, so it's funny.
We do that.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a way to, I'll give you an example. I was playing this. What was this? It was like a super fast qualiteka
Yeah.
for something. I don't remember what it was. And Ustaji had heard it. And so your bayan, the only way to say it is gay, right? But gay can be like 55 different things,
Yeah.
right? So I remember he didn't say like play da-da-gene-ta-tin. Like he went like he did that.
Oh, okay.
And he said you're not, so basically he said the bayan band kar. So it was go
Yeah.
like, so then I knew, okay, I need to slide and close and tighten. Because I was going like da-da-din, da-din, da-da-din, da-din, and he was like, I want you to go like I want you to have that close down.
Yeah.
So sometimes to explain
To clarify.
yeah,
the
to
sound
clarify
that you're on.
the like bowls is not enough.
No,
Yeah.
they're not.
Because the only way to say the bowl is da-da-gene-ta-tin.
Yeah.
And this was for some recording, and like somebody put it on for him, and I don't know why they did. And I was like, oh God, like there's a recording out there that like Ustaji's like, you should have done it this way.
Yeah. But that's what we do as well. Guruji doesn't sit with his instrument; he sings it all, and then you have to get the expressions. Is the only way you can get it across is by singing the different ways of saying it, not by singing the sargam like sarigama padanisa. It's like the
Right.
like that. You have to get that across, and that's
Cool.
singing as well. So it's all good.
Somehow, through osmosis, I've got some of that.
You've got all of it.
Yeah. Let's listen to another track. It's called "Let Me Go." It's also another beautiful track. Let's listen to that. And we're back. That was "Let Me Go" by Apostro. I really like that one.
Yeah.
That's also another Viswanth favorite.
I might be biased, but I like that one too.
So yeah, Aman, thanks so much for being here. It's always great to talk to you. We're gonna continue in overtime for the podcast, but for our Ruckus Avenue Radio listeners on Dash Radio, that's the end. But you can always catch the remainder on the podcast. So Aman, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
I think the best way would be to go to Instagram and look for Apostro, Apostro music, and you can go everywhere from there. There's a link on the profile, and that'll take you to all my other music as well.
Awesome, man. And everybody should look him up. You should download his albums,
Buy
his
them all.
tracks. Yeah, buy them. Don't stream them.
You can stream them. That's okay. It's okay. Totally fine.
I'm trying to get you paid, man.
It's all good, man.
And then for us, you guys can find us at absolutefocus.co, and then from there you can find all our social media stuff. Basically, we only do Instagram, and
Yeah, we can't do everything.
yeah, man, it's too hard.
It's too hard.
But we try. And then yeah, like our YouTube channel's there, and yeah, check us out on Patreon as well. We could always use your support. Patreon.com/absolutefocus, and then be sure to catch Kamaljit at the Tabla
The
Festival,
most amazing tabla festival.
August 4th. Use that discount code.
It's going to really help. Absolute Focus. 20% off.
Cool, man. And we're back. So tell us about like Apostro. Like
Okay.
how did you
get from Dole to Apostro?
Yeah.
You said you tinkered around on your electronics back in the day.
Right.
And then how did that all link up?
I think the dole was an instrument that taught me the foundation of music, of rhythm, right? And it allowed my mind to grasp musical context of what was happening in different songs and tracks. And I just basically focused on dole in my 20s, right? And I was playing around with electronic music, but I wasn't producing anything that much because, again, I didn't have instructions there, right? I didn't have a teacher. And I still don't. It's just I find different things here and there, right? So I find instructors here and there. So one of the things is, there's a friend of mine in Fremont. His name is Randy Pickler. He's a developer. He does all kind of cool 3D Android stuff.
Oh, cool.
And he's always like he's from like the 70s and stuff. He's that kind of his mindset is like he's a piano player. And he used to do a lot of stuff with different. He used to gig around in LA, right? So his mindset was, hey, make sure your music you can feel something from the music. It shouldn't be just sanitized, right?
Right.
And there should be rhythm, and there should also be melody.
That's
right?
key.
So
Melody's key.
melody is key, and then so a lot of the earlier stuff I was just kind of not thinking that way. It was just like, okay, well, this is I would call it quote legal music. So legally, it's music. It's got everything so it's in key, it's all that stuff, but it's legally there. If anybody looked at it and said, well, that's music, but it's not good. So it's just music, right? And so I think that took a while to just get out of that phase. So when I spoke to him about that and he critiqued a couple of my songs that I had made, he said, well, you need a little bit more. It's just, it's too abrupt here. He would tell me that kind of stuff. And that derailed so let's say if I was progressing towards a certain eventuality for if that person wasn't in my life, that sort of timeline would totally be derailed when I met him, right? Because he gave me instructions which were different from what I had been thinking about, and so then I had a new issue which was like, okay, go learn melody, go learn what do you do with this? Like, how do you make chord progressions and things like that? And I was stuck in that for about a year. And so I had one track which I was doing for 1 year, and just because I was going back and forth and trying to figure out what do I do with this track, and you lose all objectivity at that point. But
Yeah.
So how did you learn the chord progressions and everything? What was that process?
Right. So I attempted to get lessons. I just could never grasp it because I wasn't a keyboardist. I wasn't a piano guy, but it just seemed too much for me. I don't know what it was about it, but it just seemed like that I couldn't grasp. And I took some lessons in college too, and I still couldn't grasp it for some reason.
On keys or guitar?
On keys,
Okay.
on piano. Yeah, I took a class in college for that. So there was like just kind of disjointed lessons, but nothing just solid. And so one day I'm on Instagram and out comes. So, well, I gotta tell you before I get here. The friend of mine, and you should go check out his music, Ajit Singh. His music is King on Instagram, Kingh. Very awesome musician. He was one of the instrumental guys who actually helped me progress through Dole. and actually in my electronic music. The reason with Dole is because as I was learning on my own, he was the guy who started when he was like 3 playing percussion.
Right.
Okay, like he was the guy who was born, playing percussion, and so when I met him during the Dole years, he would always be ahead of me, rhythmically. So he was able to join things together like much more like musically, right? And so that gave me a target, which is great for somebody who's new.
For anyone.
Yeah, imagine having a target that was like, hey man, you want to go out and practice right now? Yeah, no problem. And we'd go practice, and he would be playing at like 2x my level, right? And I'm just like, this is great. And I didn't feel like, oh, he's better than me. No. I felt like, oh, he's better than me, which is amazing for me. And every time I heard him, it made me better, right?
No, that's good.
And such a positive way to do that, because lots of people go, oh, man, he's so much better. Why can't I do that? But you don't. You just drown in your own sorrows.
Yeah.
Don't look at it positively.
Yeah, you definitely feel, oh, why can't I do that? And then you feel, like, and I feel more energized that this person is willing to kind of help me out there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we do is we'd practice all the time. So rain or shine, like literally in the rain, we were one time outside practicing like Dole, right? That happened. One time we got kicked out because somebody called the police or something. Like these guys keep playing Dole in the freaking outside in the rain. Like, get them out of here.
Oh my God! What happened to your Doles in the rain?
Oh, we would be under a shed.
Oh my God! Thank goodness.
Yeah. But we, when I was practicing with him, and I was like, hey, gee, we gotta practice, man. And then we would practice like 4 hours, 6 hours a day.
Oh
and
my God.
That's just practicing outside, standing around. So the rote practice that was in me before. I just carried it over to our friendship. And he was already there because he's a tabla guy. Okay, he's already there with that. So we joined with that. It's like, okay, dude, we're gonna practice, and he would practice at home. I would practice at my home, but then we would join together, and then we would practice huge long hours.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Right, and so
you need a companion sometimes.
You do.
That totally just took me from wherever I was.
You're so lucky.
In that sense, I was, and that this person was there, and these people online who were teaching me this tabla stuff, right? And so they're all kind of fed into it. So. And then Ajit, one day he comes to my house. He's like, "You gotta hear this." I'm like, "What is this?" And I'm listening to like hip hop and stuff at this point. And I had been introduced to some guy called Deadmau5, which I'll talk about in a second. And Ajit comes to my house like, you gotta check this out. I'm like, all right. We go into. So we always had this thing. He would make remixes. I would make remixes, and then all that kind of stuff. Punjabi stuff. We put Dole in there. We did all that kind of stuff, right, during our 20s.
Right.
And he was running a Dole team at that point. I think they're called Dynasty 3D, Davis D Dynasty, I think that they're called. But he was really, really, really good, by the way, on that. And so he brought over Skrillex. Do you guys know what Skrillex? Okay, you know about that at all or no?
A little.
Okay, so he's all like a dubstep producer.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to call him a dubstep. He's a sort of all of the above kind of producer, but is mainly bass related kind of music. And he plays this stuff. And there's my face melted. My hair does. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, what is this? And it's just the way the bass is, the way the rhythm is, it's just too good, man. And like my entire like musical sort of trajectory changed. I instantly that I had been practicing and creating hip hop stuff, for a while.
Right.
That instantly went out of my mind. And it was like, this is it. This is it. Electronic dance music is going to be the thing that I'm going to be working on. It was like, I don't know how my mind shifted at that point.
Yeah, it struck you.
I was just obsessed, right? And then I got introduced to Deadmau5 either through him or Harmon. And I was like, okay, so these two people, like Skrillex and Deadmau5, and they really just started shaping like what electronic music is for me, right? And then, so I'm listening to their stuff, just obsessing over it. And one day, like masterclass.com has a thing, and it's like Deadmau5 takes his head thing off, and his.
I think I bought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, I bought like the Hans Zimmer one and the Deadmau5 one.
Yeah,
and
all of it. So this is how it went with me. I saw the thing. I'm like, oh, Deadmau5, like a new concert, and like 3 seconds later, it said Masterclass. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I was click. out was a credit card, I was purchasing
Yeah.
it. I had so much faith in the fact that this person would take, who's like the best in the industry, would take time out to do. Like I'm not like that kind of person who says, "Well, it's $100. Let me go figure." No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy this thing. So I bought it, and I'm just like Gustavo Lasting Portillo, right? And I was like thinking the same thing. Whatever he says is what I'm gonna do, and it's gonna take me to the next level, right? I have like this thing which I put my faith in something, and I follow it.
That's really good.
And so when I heard him do stuff, and he was like, "I don't know how to play piano. I don't know what the fuck's." Sorry, I don't know
It's
what
okay,
the
it's a
scales
podcast.
are.
It's a
I don't know what
podcast,
these
yeah.
are. I don't. And he didn't know about any of that stuff. And I'm like, whoa, okay, so he doesn't even know about like this basic things. He can't even like. He's not a pianist. Like he plays amazing melodies. Like what do I do? Like how's he doing this? And so lo and behold, he shows how he does it. And he's like, oh, I'll use a piano roll, and I kind of like
Yeah, I remember him saying like he just dragged.
Yeah,
He's
and
like, this doesn't fit here, so he just dragged it down.
Yeah.
My mind blew, saying like this guy is doing it like every other YouTuber right now. Like this is how he does it. And immediately, I had all these lesson plans, like piano lessons and all these kind of things. I just like get out of my way. I have a way, and this guy is showing it to me, and that's how I want to do it. And so I just followed the basic steps he said, kind of showed me, and I immediately started So there's a different way in the way I learned. I think the way many people learn, which is like they'll listen to the entire lesson and maybe binge it and then say, well, okay, I learned X, Y, Z. What I do is I listen to like, say one lesson that says 5 minutes long, let's say, right?
Yeah.
I'll listen to it, and every about 2 or 3 sentences, I'll pause and say, is there a thing that I need to go implement right now, right? And if there is, I'll go stop the lesson, go implement it. That means I will stop and go create a song or learn whatever the heck he just said, and then come back to the lesson, play it again from that point of view, and go start from there.
Go forward. Yeah.
So I'm always immediately implementing, not waiting until later to like implement. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's a good way of doing it.
And
That's our biggest flaw, right? Is that we have all these ideas. We have like 50 tracks that are incomplete.
50.
That's a bit of an exaggeration. He's
Can I
doing his
sign
Indian
you guys,
classical
like,
music
Yeah, okay,
exaggeration
that's an
right
Indian
now.
classical, but it is a lot. It's like 20 something. There's a lot of ideas on that drive.
Yeah.
There's like tons of projects that are like incomplete.
Yeah.
And we just don't follow through. And then the issue becomes like when we started that track, we were musicians of like level 10, and then let's say we've progressed over a little bit, and we're like now at level 12 or whatever.
What's the highest level hit?
I don't know. I'm just making up numbers.
All right.
And I'm just saying now we're like, so then when you go back and you listen to your level 10 stuff, you're like, well, that's garbage, and then nothing ever gets out.
That's right.
And then it's like, what?
Yeah.
That's right.
We need. So I mean, the point of executing like quickly, like what you just said, is something that we got to
Yeah,
figure out, like
we
so
need
that
to.
so that we don't have time to go back to it and say like, oh, that could be better. Of course, it could always be better.
Yeah.
Like that's never gonna end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best you can get out of your own mind is, well, I can live with it. And that's about it.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to.
And then
You'll never get to a point you're like, that is a masterpiece. I'm a
Yeah.
genius. You're never going to get there.
Yeah.
You're always going to be like, I can live with that. And you're always going to be like, shit, at like 3 minutes and 9 seconds, I could have done that better.
Yeah.
I can, right now, I can go into every single I've released, I can tell you about all the issues. I can tell you about how I would fix them.
Yeah. So we do that with our performances
Yeah.
too. But then the issue is that we need to understand is that that's in our head.
Yeah.
Like when,
Yeah.
like this woman, like Skomoji did this a lot, okay? And then afterwards, she's like, "Oh, like I messed this part up. I could have done this part right." It's what you were just saying.
Yeah.
After the concert, some woman comes up to Komoji crying,
Yeah, man.
like crying, and she said, "Like I just felt God in your Allah."
Wow.
It was your greatest compliment ever in your
I,
life, right?
I remember that.
Like-
I have a terrible memory, but I remember that.
Yeah, because she was like so like shocked, and it's like you don't know how your music is gonna affect
Yeah.
Yeah.
other people and what they're coming into it. Like they're coming into it with their
Their
own
own
story, their own
experiences.
background, their own
Yeah.
experiences.
I
And
keep that in my head now.
so now we just gotta. I think once we have small children, so it's really hard to work in the studio. I think once they're in school, we gotta just become a like
And-
product. We gotta become Aman.
and you guys,
You got to just produce and release and just that's our document. And then like 20 years from now, like we'd be like, oh, we were here, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did that, and you can sort of see your
The
arc.
trajectory, yeah.
That's right. The arc showing. So I did had to mentally think about that and say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and release things and just show the me right now.
Yeah,
And
that's what it is. It's the me right now.
This is the me right now, and then the next song is the me at that point.
Then.
And then a lot of in the electronic music genre, a lot of forces tend to put you in boxes, saying you're a this type of genre producer, right? And I just, if you look at every single of my songs, they're all different. There's, I think, maybe 2 that are kind of alike, but they're all sort of different.
Yeah.
And there's some that are like, that are me with sitting down with a guitar that I was testing a mic, and then I started kind of feeling it, and then out came a song, and 3 hours later, and it's released.
Yeah.
It's called Fire, right, on there. And it's all me on a guitar and this singer dude, right? And so that's not an electronic music, track, but I'm an electronic producer, So it's just whatever I'm feeling is what's going on there. And I think I'll just find the audience that's interested in that. If I don't find the audience that's interested in that, that's no problem, because I'm doing this as a hobby, as like a passion project, right? So I feel tremendous amount of accomplishment by having something out there.
You release a track every month, right?
I try to.
That's amazing
awesome.
discipline. Yeah.
But that's only on the Apostle side. On the Helioflux side, I've got a whole album, which is like 12 tracks or something like that, and I'm trying to release albums on that end, which you can talk about later. But that's the key, just to kind of get into
to get going.
Yeah, you have to give yourself. I was gonna get my phone. On my phone, my wallpaper says I have to release 5 to 10 songs by 3 month period, right? So I have goals that are written on my phone.
Yeah.
Every time I look at my phone, it's there. I cannot miss it.
Yeah, I do that too, but I miss it sometimes.
Yeah, and there's a sense of like, if I don't get there, there's a sense of like, oh my God, I better
Guilt.
get there. And this is one of the key ways, I think, in anything in life, even in like weight loss and in financial stuff, if you put a goal for yourself, if you don't meet it, the one time you didn't meet it, you're gonna say it to yourself a little bit less loudly next time. You won't tell other people next time. So today you might say, hey, I'm gonna release a song, and then you don't do it. Next time you won't tell me. You'll just say to yourself, I'm gonna go release a song, and then you won't do it. Then you're gonna stop saying it to yourself.
And then it's done.
Then it's done. And then you're just gonna be regretful later, right? And you're like, I
So
never released a
he's
song.
just describing us right now.
In a nutshell.
But we can get there.
Yeah, man.
We can get there. What you gotta do is you gotta do small wins, right? Commit to releasing something in a time period that you think is good, and release it.
So the side that we are focused on right now, though, is live performances.
Yeah.
Like we're actively like going after gigs. We're actively like making sure that we're trying to make sure that the music from gig to gig is different.
Yeah.
Like so we are. It's not like we're not working. It's just that our recording side
his-
is down.
Yeah.
But our performance side is definitely up.
It's like
Yep.
a seesaw.
For
That's
sure.
up at the moment.
Yeah,
The
and I
balance isn't
think
there
I
yet.
think once, but then the two need to feed into each other, because when you have more work out there, then people will be like, oh, we need to hire these guys.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So it's just this. Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're gonna become Aman.
We will when my
So
children go to
let's get
school.
nerdy for a bit. All right.
All right.
So this track, Let Me Go.
Okay.
All right. Let's break it down.
Okay.
Like what? So what's your studio? Let's start there. Like where are you? You're in a room.
Right there is my studio.
A MacBook Pro.
That's it.
That's it.
That
What are you
is-
using?
That is the basic of my studio. I intentionally keep it that light. I actually go out of my way to sell gear, get rid of gear that stops me from being that light, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and so I can. So I have, for example, I have other gear. I have a Push 2, which I use to put chords in. I have a other kind of instruments that I can use that are a physical instrument. There's a Mother 32 that I have. This is a synthesizer. I have all kinds of stuff that I can like connect together to create a studio, and a monitor and all that kind of stuff. But I prefer just that, and I want to stay that nimble always if I can, because The reason for that is my life is got so much going on, with work and all that kind of stuff. I just
Yeah.
want to have the time to be able to execute on tracks any moment I want to. So, for example, one of the things that I do is at work, and this is going to sound like I'm like a Nazi about these things, but I have an hour of time period to go eat. 15 minutes I'll allot for myself to go eat something, and then the other 45 minutes I'll go produce something, right?
Wow.
And the way I do that is this is gonna sound really bad, but I eat the same exact thing from the same place, and I know where to go, how to order it.
No, that's a good way of doing it. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's just, I'm trying to find time, that's all. And that 45 minute, I can get something done. But a lot of people tell me like, well, what are you gonna get done in 45 minutes? You can't really like come up with something. Well, what I do is I break everything down and saying, okay, well, right now in the 45 minutes, I'm gonna work on the chord progression, and that's it. And I'm gonna sit there in the library or in my car, which is a great place for me, and I'll just work on that one thing. Or just make some improvement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's really helped me by utilizing that hour time or whatever. You can stretch it a little bit at work and all that kind of stuff. The other thing that really helped was something that these guys there's a team called Cymatics, and they were saying, get up at 5 a.m. and like do your thing in the beginning of the day so that it's out of your way. I tried that for like a week, and that was immensely helpful. So getting up at like 5, and then boom, you hit music, and there's nothing to do except music. What are you gonna do when you get up at 5?
Yeah.
Nothing. You're gonna do music. And so 5 to 6 to 7, I was doing music. I was like, wow. It was like, I don't know if do you guys watch Dragon Ball Z?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know when he says Kaioken and he gets
Yes.
that's like that. When you get up in the morning, you just yell Kaioken,
Yes.
and boom, you're like in it, man. You're so focused. Well, I'm a morning person.
Me too. I practice at that time in the morning.
So she wakes
Oh.
up
I
at 4 or
practice
5.
at 4. I wake up at 4:50. Then he takes the kids till about 7 a.m. because they wake up at 5:30. So that's my time.
Then you know what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
like it's like zooming in that happens during that time.
Yeah.
There's nothing else in your mind except what you're doing. And so I really need to implement that. I tested it out. That works for me wonders. So I'm definitely going to be sleeping early and waking up early. So that's something that to do, and that'll to kick up my production even further.
Yeah, that's
But-
awesome. That's a
Yeah.
special time, that time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I've heard in a lot of cultures that
Yeah, morning.
morning time is the perfect time.
It's Amrit Vela.
Yeah.
So okay, so what software are you using?
I use Ableton.
Ableton?
And I use all kinds of different what are called VSTs.
Yeah. So what
virtual
are some go-tos?
I just got Massive X. I use that. Serum. I use a lot of Native Instruments. So all the
Native Instruments. You have that was the complete kit.
I have everything kit. I have Ultimate, and then I have all the orchestra stuff. It's really cool story. Some guy in LA was like had a studio, and they like scrapped their show, and they're like, I got 2 keys for NI Ultimate. Anybody want them on Craigslist? $500.
Oh my God.
Shoot, dude.
And with all orchestra stuff, which is like $3,000.
Yeah.
$500. And I'm
Holy
like,
moly.
I don't know you. This could be a scam, but here's $500, bro. And he's like, dude, thank you for trusting me. Here's a key. And I put that in, I'm like, please work. And it worked. And I was like,
Dude, that's so lucky, man.
Jesus.
oh yeah, it's lucky. And I told one of my friends, I was like, no, it looks like a scam. I'm like, just take it, dude. And he wouldn't take it.
Dude, I would take it.
Yeah, one of my first songs is called State. It has like different string chords and stuff like that. Those I didn't have strings back then, so I was using like an iPad and a GarageBand on the iPad to play the strings. It was like super weird sounding, but it sounded fine in the mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the newer stuff, you hear a lot more lush stuff. And you're like, and a lot of the bass and a lot of the whatever strings are using, the pianos that are really good, they're all NI, so Native Instrument stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Like if
So
a deal ever
lucky,
comes like
oh
that
my
again, you
goodness.
call us, dude.
I will call you, man. But yeah, that's my main.
So Ableton, and then like okay.
Yep. And Native Instrument stuff, and so that and Serum is one of the the synthesizers I use that are like the main synthesizer. There's also other one called Anna. There's so many different ones. One of the things with me in terms of creating a sound is like I'm not like always going to the same starting point because I feel like let's say if you told me, hey, just stick with this genre, stick with that kind of a sound, I'll just get so bored with that. It's a little bit hard to communicate, but every song I try to first figure out what the language of the song is. And you could maybe hear it if you heard a couple of my songs. Like every song has a different sound to it. And so I first try to determine what is the sound of this song. What is this song, right? I'll go at it a couple of ways. Either I'll start with a vocal or chord progression, or maybe just a drum beat or some other little idea. Some spark, right?
Yeah.
Usually it's a chord progression, okay? Or it could be a melody line. And there's something that I do which is like really cool that I'll tell you. And so once I start with this thing, I can then start to dress it up with other items. And then it becomes the center and everything else is around it. And so when you hear it, you're like, okay, that's a song, right? So there's a really cool thing that I sort of started doing a couple of years ago, which helped me. So like I said earlier, I'm not a piano person, I'm not a pianist. So it's really hard for me to crack out an idea on a piano.
Yeah.
But you have to do that. You have to figure out how else do you come up with a melody? Dead Mouse, gave me a mechanism, which is the piano roll. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
But I found that that's fine for simpler melodies, but like to get complex or to go out of the box, it's really hard. You have to be on a piano. So what I found was if you take the chord progression and you repeat that, and then you just say bounce that, right? And then you hear it, but then you do jiggle bandy on top of it with your mouth. So like you're actually saying a rhythm, okay?
A rhythm or a melody?
A melody, sorry. Yeah. A melody.
So you're singing on
melody
top of
and
it.
rhythm, right? And then you actually just crank out ideas like that and you record them. So that's how most of my music, all the drops or the choruses are actually derived like that. So it's me somewhere singing into a mic, and that's what you hear on there. But what I do is I take the singing, I import it into Ableton, then I extract the MIDI out of it by actually listening and putting on the notes. See what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
And then I figure out, okay, well, this one wasn't in key, so I move it on to key, and then I refine it further and further, and it becomes what you hear at the end.
Your discipline and process is like
It's
inspiring.
amazing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have to. I'm not a piano guy. I have to figure out a way.
Yeah.
I think if you want to do it right,
So
you're a lazy person.
Here's the thing, like this "Let Me Go" track, I really like it, because the melody is there. I have to something has to have melody. Like there's a lot of electronic dance music that's just like about like weird noises and police sirens and like robot type sounding stuff, and you're like,
which I love too.
Yeah, I mean, but that doesn't excite me. Like I need the melody.
You need to link it up with the melody. So if all that stuff was there, but there was a beautiful melody on top,
Yeah.
it's all good.
So how did you? Because my background is percussion, your background is percussion.
That's
so
right.
how did you get this? Maybe it's like the fact that our initial training lacked that melody that like now we desire it. Yeah, we crave it.
Yeah, so it all started with that person Randy that I talked about, and he told me you need melody, you need to have a connection with the person, and even though there's a lot of producers out there which don't have melody, for example, check out they're really called so UM ... and they're awesome. I met them in person one time, and their music is just like what you described. It's no melody almost, and it's just like noises, but it's beautiful. You gotta check it out.
I'll have to check it out. I don't know if I agree, but I'll check it out.
It is rhythmically interesting, and you'll like it. Okay, UM ... Check it out. And so when I had that thing in my ears saying, well, you need to have melody to make connection with the audience, I just started to figure out how do I get there? How do I go from just this basic chord progression to like melodies and
where did you pick up these chord progressions?
So that's the chord progression. The how to get to a chord progression was taught by Dead Mouse in his masterclass. Okay. And so he taught me a mechanism, which was the piano roll.
Right.
Which I had already heard on YouTube. It's just that a master level person is telling you.
He reinforced it, yeah.
Yeah, you just like, okay, take out all the other noises. I'm going to follow this route and I'm going to perfect it. And so one of the things I did there was just sat there and just made chord progressions all day long, right? And then I said, you know what? I'm going to learn it enough to teach it. So I actually created a YouTube video about chord progressions,
Oh,
and
we'll
people
check
like,
that out.
this is great, man. Thank you, bro. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. People are wanting to hear that. So I have a bunch of videos all about how to create a chord progression, how I made a certain song, what do I think about when I make a song. All these videos are there.
Oh, dude, we're gonna check those out.
Yeah.
You binge watch our videos, we'll binge watch yours.
Perfect. And so that's what it is. You have to just do it to exercise that muscle.
Yeah.
Recently, I got a lesson from this guy named Haterade on Instagram, and he's an EDM type guy. He makes trap music. Trap is like a bass and EDM sort of a mix music. So the first song, Closer, would be considered trap.
Okay.
And so his thing is same as what I'm saying. You get into a mode where you're executing it in a manner where you're saying, I have 20 minutes. We're gonna go execute on this, and that's all I have. And so what you do is, at the first time you do it, you're just all over the place. You're messed up. You can't get it right. You can't even start it, right? But your 20 minutes are done. You screwed up, no problem, but your 20 minutes are done, right? Then the next day, 20 minutes again, right? And then, okay, you're getting a little better. Then eventually you get better. Eventually you
it's
get...
all just hard work and
It's
discipline.
all just Riaz,
It's
man.
all hard work, man.
Riaz.
There are no shortcuts, and you guys know this.
Yeah.
And it's the same
We know
way.
it, but sometimes we need to remind ourselves.
Yeah.
One of the things that really I'd like to dispel is the notion that electronic artists don't work hard or they just twist knobs. It's extremely difficult to make a song
Yeah.
electronically. If you think about it, when you take a guitar and you pluck a string, you already have the harmonics of the string itself, the note, every fundamental, all of it's there.
Yeah.
And when you slide that guitar, that thing is working for you, right? It's a physical instrument. But imagine starting with a sine wave.
Right.
I mean, you're starting with the basics of what sound is, and imagine building a growl out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's super hard. But then what happens is, so in electronic music, a pianist or a guitarist may sit there and crank out a really cool melody live, but electronic music does all the work in the front to create all that, and then they get to a point where they press a button.
Right.
Right, and so it's immense amount of work. I can't even describe how much work it is.
No, we
because
understand.
because you first have to, and in tabla you'll hear this probably, similarly. You have chunks of things in a song, right?
Yeah.
Like here's the intro, here's the outro, here's the middle of it. Blah, blah, blah. But man, the way they flow.
Yeah.
I think they call lekari, I think, or is it called in tabla? I'm not sure.
That's
but,
playing
or
with
rudari,
rhythm.
I think.
Yeah, rudari.
Rudari, right? The way it flows, right? Same thing with dol, same thing with
Yeah.
tabla. That, man, like it's really hard to get to, and you have to develop an ear for it.
Right.
You can't be taught really too much, but someone can teach you some parts of it. But then you have to take it forward from there.
So then the other thing about like Let Me Go, I notice, or maybe this is because of my own experiences and the way I listen to music, but I notice that there are Indian elements and that they're Indian rhythms, Indian melodies, Indian little nuances. Like, is that intentional or?
Oh, 100% intentional. Like
Yeah.
I intentionally go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to insert X, Y, Z here. I'm always looking for like a sarangi or a violin, something to put in there. There's other songs that I have where there's a baja in there.
Yeah.
The baja wasn't played by me; it was a sample, but it was very differently played. So one of the things that you get really good at when you're an electronic musician is that you are manipulating sound very well. So I would take parts and take it apart, and each bowl or each hit, okay, and you can then modify it to make them play your tune, what you want to play, or play in your key, right?
Right.
Similarly with the singers, like you can take apart a singer and then you can take whatever they have sung and you can retune it. You can almost change their sound of their voice completely. All right, and there's many places where I've done that, where I've turned a woman's sound into a male sound, vice versa, and like so it's like you have to get really really comfortable with wave manipulation, right? And like how that works, it's a lot of fun, and the way like the way I view a song is that when you get into a song and you figure out what is this song, it sort of tells you what it's going to be, right? You start it and you have no idea what it's going to be, and you can also check out the idea that, oh, this person knows exactly what they're doing when they start, and every single thing they did is intentional. A lot of happy accidents. And when you start, you don't know what the song is. And then you start it, and then it finally says, okay, I think I'm a song like this, right? And then you go in that direction. And then sometimes that direction doesn't lead anywhere, and you actually fork off another direction.
Right.
And so you're always trying to find out. And with me, at least, it's not until the very last 25% that I know, okay, I know what the song is.
You get it, yeah.
Yeah. And then I still may say, this didn't work out. Let me cut out this entire piece. And this little thing that I developed at the end, that's the new song. I've done that many times. So, I think you have to just get into the habit of creating the song and finishing it. And once you do that, it gets you there.
Then you get addicted.
You get addicted, and you find a way where you're in a song, and it's like its own little world, right? You have a short-term memory of that song, right? So my song will have, I can show you later, but there's 60, 100 different stems, and so it's funny, one of my so the same friend, Randy, he was like, well, this song is good, but blah blah blah, he says something, and I would tell him, okay, let me show you where I did that, and I would show him the song, 67 stems or something, and he's like, holy moly, he's like, you do that much work for a song? I'm like, yeah, look at each stem, and there's automation happening. That's manual automation. And it's like, oh, yeah, see that? That's me cutting waveforms together to make, and he's like, wow, okay, that's a lot of work. I'm like, yeah, that's what electronic musicians do.
Right.
It's really hard to explain to people, but
no, I mean, we've done it.
We understand.
We've done it, so we get it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm sure people come to you and say, this tabla, I can play the tabla. Or I've
Yeah.
had that in a party where people are like, I can play that dole, and I'm like, well, okay, go ahead, and they can't, of course,
Right.
But there's this sort of feeling, because I think you make it look effortless, that it is effortless, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
My Ustad Lasting Patiji used to say, you have to practice for years to play 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's
true.
facts.
He said, if you can play 10 minutes, you've made it. And I was like, wow, that's so, just to think about that, because that really puts in perspective of the fact you have to practice for many years to get to that point where you can play 10 minutes and it's good.
Yeah.
And effortless, as you said.
Yeah.
And musical.
And it's a performance rather than you just sort of playing something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, man, that was really awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming. Everybody should check out Aman on his social media. Check out Apostro. And then, check us out too at Absolute Focus. Thanks everybody for listening, and Aman, you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button.